Hello, Paul Myers.
Denise Myers, Road Warrior Investors. And we're back. We are in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho today. And the question has come across to us about passive income. So we are going to focus on rentals on this particular segment. And there's a couple of different types of rentals that we have. You do short-term, you do long-term. Which ones do you do? How do you do them? Where do you go? Where do you start? And so we thought it'd be fun today to bring Stacy with Northwest Hosting in with us today. Thank you, Stacy.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yes. And so Stacy here actually manages our short-term rentals right here in North Idaho.
That's what we're in, is actually our short-term rental.
That's right. We're in one of our Airbnbs. And so we thought we'd bring in an expert today. Yay, you're the expert. So one of the questions again was passive income, but if you have an extra property out there and you're not quite sure what to do with it, how do you go about figuring out the questions to ask, what to do in order to make that smart decision and move something into a short-term or a long-term rental? So I thought I'd bring that expert in here and ask her that question. So if we had someone out there that has an extra property, and what would be some of the first steps that they should go and do in order to make a smart decision?
Well, I get this question all the time of, I have a house, what do I do with it? And I'm a property manager. I only do short-term rentals. So that is my niche market. And the first thing that you want to do in whatever market you're in, wherever your house is you want to reach out to the industry professionals in your area and have them crunch the numbers. The short-term rental property managers, we have access to huge analytic companies. They can crunch numbers. It costs us money and it's free to investors to call and say, hey, can you run an ROI for me? This is how much am I going to make on this property? Do I need to do a mixed occupancy style of stay? And, short-term rentals, they're just such a hot topic. And they're really, really popular. There's areas of the country where vacation rentals have been a staple of the economy and the hospitality and tourism for years. You think about, the beaches in Delaware, and you think of like Ocean City, Maryland, and lots of rentals in Florida, Anaheim, around Disneyland. But people are really wanting to travel around the United States now and see different areas. You may think, I just have this rental in a small town in the middle of nowhere. But once you start doing some research, it might be a hot spot because it might not have a lot of hotels nearby. You might have access to a hospital and traveling professionals who need a furnished place to stay. Yeah. So first off, before you do anything, I would call an area local and make sure that you're dealing with a specialist in that area that is representing short-term rentals.
Okay. So step one,
find an expert.
Yeah.
If you're not going to manage it yourself, find an expert.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I know that's what we did. That was our first step when we came out to the area and we knew we wanted to do some short-term rentals. Was we found Stacy. We actually interviewed Stacy. I don't know if you know that or not. We interviewed a couple different air hosting or short-term rental.
As well, you should. It's all about relationships and making sure that you have great communication with them. And what level of communication do you need? It may be deemed passive income, but if this is a home that you're also going to use yourself or your family to take a vacation in, you want to be able to get a hold of somebody. You want to have their phone number, have an easy access to email, and find somebody that cares about your home in the way that you deem appropriate.
Yeah. And the house is still an investment, so you need to take care of it too.
You need to take care of it.
Not just, oops, didn't notice that. No, it needs to be taken care of.
And that's one thing. There are lots of different property management companies out there that do a multitude of things. They do long-term rentals. They do short-term rentals. They do real estate. If it's a hospitality area, they might also do events and event planning and event booking.
Yeah.
That's all we do is short-term rentals. Yeah. And I would encourage people to reach out to those property management companies that's all they do, because we get really good at it really fast.
Yeah.
It's a little different than managing long-term rentals too.
Oh, it's a completely different game. Take everything you know about managing a long-term rental and throw it out the door. Yeah. Because literally none of it applies.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I know, so again, for the short-term rentals,
Yep.
Understanding how much income could come in
Mhm.
to your property is something that you need to understand. And that's where using a company like yourself, you can help us understand before we even sign a contract with
Absolutely.
you, how much on average we might make in a month, on average, or in a year, right?
Yeah.
And that was big for us. We didn't realize that when we sat down that you could do that originally. So you want to talk a little more about that?
So one thing that's important about short-term rentals is the seasonality of it. So here in North Idaho, we have a very strong, robust summer season. We make about 75% of our gross income in 3.5 months.
Yeah.
So the rest of the year, we are really working hard to keep homes clean, ready for potential guests, doing maintenance, making sure that the pipes aren't freezing in the middle of the winter. We're checking on them. Absolutely. Making sure that they're all set and ready to go. You could be in an area that has year-round occupancy, where your job, where your property management's number one concern is year-round maintenance, is making sure the home is getting cleaned every single time and HVAC filters are getting changed out on the regular, especially when you have different people coming in and cooking different foods. You have to make sure that the homes are smelling fresh. These are really niche things that short-term rental professionals know. And being able to give that dollar amount so that owners know what to expect is that they're going to get hit with.
Yeah. And I remember looking at those numbers too, going, okay, we could rent it out long-term and make this, or we could rent it out short-term and make this. We ended up choosing to do the short-term one because it did, on paper, it produced more revenue. But the other thing that we realized too that helped us make that decision on the short term was the fact that we didn't have someone staying there long term, and that long term stay for the house.
I think it's a little better to be short term. Just the value of the house and the lack of wear and tear. Short term is a little better because you get long term, you get people just living here for a long time. It gets messy, it gets dirty, it gets pets or whatever. This is I know we got to furnish it. And you get some damaged furniture occasionally, but I think checking on the house more frequently is better than just not looking at it for 2 years. You kind of go, oh my gosh.
What happened
when
here?
you have rental, we know.
Well, with short-term rentals, you have a housekeeping team that's coming in after every single guest and reporting everything. I think the value of a home stays really strong when you have a short-term, when you have it in the short-term rental pool, because the cleanliness is happening all the time, the maintenance is happening all the time, and we've seen a lot of owners who have come into it as an investment piece and then have really discovered the tax loopholes and the benefits of a short-term rental and have really leaned into that facet also. So not only can a property management company help you determine what that ROI is, but we can advise you just to open your eyes a little bit about some of the tax benefits of having a short-term rental.
Nice.
It's also nice too. You can actually use your own property as well too.
Rental. You can use your home.
So that makes kind of, right now it's not rented, but we're here. So, we can do things and prepare things, whatever we have to.
Maybe we have family coming in.
Exactly.
We're friends.
We have to look close to this one. Should help.
It does, All right, so step one, find someone local, preferably not out of state, someone local in your area. Focused on short-term rentals to have that initial conversation. Maybe interview a couple of different ones that find the relationship that works best for you. I believe in that too. The relationships. We've actually talked about that several times now on the Road Warrior Investors. Relationships are very big. And then understanding how much income is going to be coming in for that particular property as well. What would be a good third tip?
I think a good third tip when considering whether or not you're going to purchase a home as a vacation rental or whether or not you already have a home as a vacation rental is how ready is it and how much are you willing to invest? Because we'll tour this house and we'll show you what it looks like to set up a vacation rental because guests knows the difference. Guests know the difference between quality and that sort of thing.
And you can also help with some people will buy cheap houses that are very odd, and they may or may not make a good Airbnb based on what the house is.
Absolutely.
The ceilings are too low, or there's some things that maybe wouldn't fare too well in the market.
Absolutely.
It's good to know things like that too.
But I was laughing at your comment because I remember I had the flashback. I remember we were furnishing 2 Airbnbs at the same time. And by the time Paula and I got done shopping, we were like, we are never
first thing you say,
shopping
you'll never do it
again. Again.
This is all going into a storage unit.
It's hard to shop for 2 months.
Yeah.
You had
Well,
to
just
wonder
even one, especially, this is a 5-bedroom home. So it's, sheets times 5. It's blankets times 5.
that. Everything you need in the kitchen, there's silverware, dish, everything you need, you have to get.
Yeah, you absolutely do.
And that's the just take
People
time.
are using your home. People are using the vacation rental. They will use everything that's in it.
And you want it to be nice too. You don't want to use I have another person has an Airbnb out of state and they use used furniture. It's like some of the stuff's pretty rough. You're like,
well, you're going to the nightly rate you're going to get is going to be reflective of the quality of the home.
Right. And also furnishings.
Yeah, absolutely. The furnishings are huge.
Yeah.
So heads and beds is what we say when it comes to homes. So if you're thinking about a 2-1 or a 3-2 and you're looking at the cost benefit analysis of, well, if I turn this into a short-term rental, the little 2-bedroom, 1-bath might make more money as a short-term rental actually, and cost you less money to furnish, set up, and cost you even purchase heat. All of those things go into play when you're looking at those final numbers. And so that ramp up to being ready to market is also something to take into consideration. We send to our investors a shopping list that we've created and curated over the last 4 years that really dials in what guests need, when we edit it all the time. When we see something that is at the end of the month or two, well, that utensil has been put in the bottom drawer 3 different times now. You know what? I don't know if people are making mashed potatoes. Right. Maybe we don't need to require that.
Or they request things they don't have.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
We need that. Right?
We really need that. So one of the biggest things that we didn't start off with, which we now require, which is an interesting, fun little tidbit, is crock pots.
Oh,
really?
Okay.
I was going to ask you, what's the number one thing people have requested you never would have thought?
Crock pots. To the point that we now in our shopping list, and we require people to
do
provide.
we have one here? I don't know that we do.
Yeah, I think you guys.
I think we have an instant.
No, there's one here.
No,
there is.
there's one here.
There's a big one though.
Yeah.
It is big. Yeah.
Okay.
We
Because you have fun
We
like
actually
that.
had it in our house with Brad. It's a small one here, but nevertheless.
But on the flip side, there are also really odd things that people request that we're like, I'm so sorry, you're going to have to purchase that yourself. You can donate it to the house, or you can return it when you're done using it. We do.
All right. What's the oddest thing that you've had requested? Come on. There's got to be a couple.
So we've had some really odd things requested. Somebody wanted us to go out and buy them a wok, like a big professional stir fry thing. And we were like, well, we have big pans in the property. Like that should suffice. And they were like, no,
It needs to be
it needs to be a wok. My grandmother's coming. It's this style of cooking. So we were like, well, we don't even know who sells a wok here in town. We looked on Amazon and they paid for it themselves. They had the wok. Amazon to the house. So that was, Amazon and Walmart delivery are your best friends when it comes to guest requests because you can get things really, really quickly.
That doesn't seem like that. I mean, it's a different request. I know if we travel and I wanted something unique like that, I'd just go buy it.
We did have somebody request an espresso maker.
Okay.
Which we were like, that's a pretty hefty.
You should go down to the local Starbucks.
Yeah. That's a pretty hefty one. They went ahead and purchased it themselves. When I think a lot of people, the answer is always no unless you ask.
True.
And so they just ask. So yeah.
Okay. I love it. So find a professional. Understand the money aspect of it. Yeah. And then the third one is
how much do you have to invest to ramp it up? Yeah.
Right. Go shopping.
Be
prepared to shop.
How much do you have? How much are you willing to spend to get your property ready to be a vacation rental?
And I also remember too, one of the things that I think was fantastic. So when we bought this, before we even bought it, we brought you in.
Yeah.
And said, would this make a good Airbnb or a short-term rental?
Yeah.
And you thought it would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
So, and then the next question was, all right, what do we need to do to furnish it?
Yep.
And so, we looked at the numbers too.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
But what do we need to do? And I remember looking at that list going, oof,
We got it done. It's all here.
Yeah. Well, and we have some interesting things that we've come across. Like if a bedroom will fit a king bed, we say put a king bed in it.
Yes.
Because kings will sleep in kings and kings will not sleep in queens.
And that's something we look for. We go out of the country is that we look for Airbnbs with kings. They actually have some button now for that.
They do.
They do.
Yeah, which
Yep.
is funny because a lot of times you see a lot of availability. It's just like a king is like 2.
Yeah. So
Everybody's
kings, if
king
a room will fit a king in.
Yeah.
Some things that are unique to vacation rentals that people don't need: dressers. Nobody really unpacks.
Yeah.
And nowadays, with closet build outs and racks and the shelves in the middle, we're not seeing dressers get anything other than just abused.
Yeah.
Just suitcases thrown on or scratched up. And that is a piece of furniture that is just cumbersome and not really necessary in a vacation rental.
Yeah.
So
The other thing that we appreciate when we travel are the
suitcasing. So really little things
yeah.
that, your area professional will have that shopping list for you and get that all taken care of.
Yeah.
So
But the only thing that we discovered on that list and we actually use ourselves is the nectar bed.
Oh,
the nectar bed.
The nectar mattresses.
Our family, almost all of our family now. But they're great. They're great.
They're a great.
They show up
mattress.
all tight and secured, and there's your bed.
Yep, I have one on the way for my middle son's. He got a new bed for Christmas, so I have one on the way for him right now.
It just shows up at your door.
Yeah.
Anything else they should be mindful of as they're shopping?
One thing that you want to be mindful of when you're shopping for a short-term rental, once you've talked to your area professionals, is getting with a real estate agent that understands your desire and what you want to have happen with this house. And I've seen this time and time again where somebody gets introduced. I get introduced to somebody too late in the game and the house isn't in the right area. It's in the middle of a very established neighborhood that's not going to make a great vacation rental, access to activities and amenities, or it's a 15-minute drive to the freeway. Those sorts of things are real inhibitors to vacation rentals. So I would say making sure you communicate with your realtor what you want to have happen with this house and your intent for it, so that they can start presenting to you the right home in the right area.
Yeah, and you also know too the certain jurisdictions that won't allow rentals. There's different things that have different local professional like yourself will know. Don't have it, can't have it here, can't have it there. HOA won't, different things.
CC&R.
Different things that you want to think
Your
about.
local short-term rental professional should have all of that completely dialed.
Cities are doing now.
Permits if you need a permit.
Yes.
We had to get a permit for this as well in the city. So,
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this permit requirement process going, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I have Stacy. Here you go.
Here's the permit. Yeah, because I can. I've done so many now. I can sort it out.
But what was neat as we were doing the application, what one of the questions was, is it professionally managed? And I said yes. We called out your name, and the lady knew you.
Yeah.
And it was very pop because she knew you. It seemed like the paperwork got done a lot faster because she knew how you worked. Right.
Yeah.
So and that was just another bonus. I'm like, sweet. It's all about who you know.
Yeah. It's those professional relationships and maintaining a really positive rapport and being, really professional with everyone and respecting what everybody's job and role along the way is just so key to keeping those relationships strong. So.
Absolutely. Well, Stacey, this has been awesome.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah, this has been awesome. Really appreciate the time, the expertise, the knowledge.
My pleasure.
And I think we need to have her come back again.
Of course.
I'd love to talk about lots of different things. So real estate's a great investment.
It is. It is. Well, we appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.
You and your team do a fabulous job.
We love it what we do.
Yeah, that's it for now. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. There's a bell.
Notification bell. Yep.
There's a bell. And we'll see you back out in the field.
Yep.